Wild Woods, it's quite the overlooked track in my opinion. In fact, I did the research. I watched a bunch of track ranking videos to get the general thoughts and opinions of Wild Woods. Protendo had this ranked at number 28, Nintendo Land had this ranked at number 27, Shayfrillis had this ranked at number 52, Macro had this ranked at number 41, and even I originally had this track ranked at number 55. As a very sweaty bollocks competitive player, this track just isn't really my cup of tea to actually play. Since writing the script for that video back in January, bear in mind, my opinions on this track have vastly changed all for the better. And this was mainly due to the fact that beforehand, I never really got the proper chance to learn how to play Wild Woods, because of how uncommon it was in competitive play when you compare it to tracks like Wario Stadium and Excitebike Arena. And of course, I'm sure we're all sick of Excitebike Arena, but it's not going anywhere anytime soon, unfortunately. Anyway, since learning how to properly play this track, I've become very fond of the playstyle, which used to be the one thing that was lacking for me. And over time, it's become a real ace for me in the competitive side of this game. So I'm here today to explain why this track is absolutely outstanding and why I love this track a lot more than most of the player base, it seems. I really think that Wild Woods is one of, if not the best looking track in the entire game. And there are plenty of examples I could pull out to justify this reasoning, but instead of talking about every single little detail, I'm just going to focus on my few favorites. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the implementation of anti-gravity, which is nothing short of impeccable on this track. And it's definitely best shown off at the very beginning of the track with the toads and the Shy Guys on the tree branches to the sides of you. Also the birds flying right in front of you and the sun rays coming through the leaves at the top of the giant tree in which you're driving through. It's a lot of good added detail that helps yourself immerse yourself within the track setting. Next up is the section where you get to glide through an entire Shy Guy village, which I've always found to be very, very interesting. There is loads of added detail here. There's loads of mini houses, a bridge connecting them, even Shy Guys going around on zip lines. It's a very cool section of the track and adds a good bit of depth considering there's a whole Shy Guy civilization living in Wild Woods apparently. So stuff like that is always pretty cool. And finally is the water stream section leading all the way down to the pond with the trickable lily pads. This is just a really nice looking part of the track and they did a very good job connecting this part of the track back to the finish line. There are probably a lot more added details I could talk about, but we'd probably be here all day if I did that. And I'd say with confidence that I've made my point good enough. Yeah, this track is amazing looking and it's even more impressive considering the fact this was released as paid DLC on a terribly selling console being the Wii U, of course. But we should get on to the next reason now because visuals actually is not the main reason why I love this track so much. The visuals are definitely good, but the main reason why I like this track so much is because the driving is incredibly fun. And there are 3 sections of the track that I'd like to highlight. First off is the split path option at the very beginning of the track, which I think is extremely good. The left path being slower, but giving you a bunch of coins to take, and then the right path being faster with some very fun strats to do there, but of course leaving you absolutely coinless at the end. I really like how both of these paths have a use to them, and it just makes this track that much more strategic, which I really, really like. Next is the very small barrel shortcut that you can do by staying just tight of the barrel with the small amount of road that you can drive on. Now granted, this is a pretty insignificant part of the track, but if you'd learn this and perfect it and can get it all 3 laps, that small time save can come in clutch for you, which I'm a big fan of personally. And my personal favorite section of the entire track is doing the shortcut at the very end without a mushroom, having to delay your trick boost off the 3rd lily pad, Kuzan slide onto the following ramp, get just enough momentum to get over the entire patch of off-road, and then of course finish it off with a trick boost. I've gotten pretty decent at doing this in online play, and every time I do it, it just never gets any less satisfying. This one's just a really cool one to pull off every time. Yeah, those ones are definitely my favorites, but in general, this track is just insanely fun to play, and in terms of gameplay, it just doesn't really go anywhere wrong, in my opinion. Now, since I have just praised this track to absolutely no end, I do think it's fair that I talk about the stuff that I dislike as well. And something really weird happened recently. I'm not even going to try and explain it to you. I'm just going to let you watch it for yourself.
I'm dead.
Shock out.
Nice.
Oh
I got barrel sniped, okay? So yeah, I got sniped out by the green shell that came flying out the barrel, and I wasn't very happy about it, if you couldn't already tell by the tone of my voice. Thankfully, I'm pretty sure that's the only time that's ever happened to me. So in that situation, it did kind of ruin my race, but I don't think it's going to be happening again anytime soon. Next up is the fact that I actually don't like the music for this track all that much. Now, don't get me wrong, it's definitely good, it gets the job done and it fits the track very well, but it's more so the case that it's not something I go out of my way to listen to outside of the game, which the same thing can't be said for most tracks in this game, in my opinion. So yeah, the music is good, it's just probably totally a me issue that I don't like it. And that's probably just about all the bad things I can think about this track. Of course, I try to be fair and also point out the bad stuff as well as the good stuff to just not be totally biased towards this track. But in my eyes, I really can't think of many flaws about this track. It is just near perfect for me. That is just about all I've got to say to spread the good word of Wild Woods. If you'd like to see me talk about other tracks, like a full hate video on Yoshi Valley, then be sure to help me out by liking and subscribing. I'd really appreciate that. And with that being said and done, I will see you in a bit, lads.